Let's look at an example of a project charter. The first section in our example is the project name, which in our example is Friends and Family Party. The project name should be a simple name for the project. Next is the purpose. The project purpose should be a simple business statement to describe what the project is about. It has more details than the project name and links the project to the business objective and goal. In our example, we indicate that this project is for an outdoor summer party for 200 friends, business colleagues, and neighbors to thank them for their support, business, and friendship over the years. We also list a goal of generating new sales opportunities. We then list the objectives, which are clear, measurable statements as to the results of the project. Objectives should further detail what is expected of the project as it relates to the business objectives and goals. It is important to note that even though the project charter is an overview of the project objectives must be measurable. That is, you must be able to count, enumerate, or assess them. A good technique to use when writing your objectives is the SMART technique. S stands for specific and clearly stated. M stands for measurable or quantifiable. A stands for achievable. It can realistically be accomplished. R stands for relevant. It has benefit to the business. And T stands for time-bound. You know when it must be done to achieve the business benefit. An objective that says happy client is not measurable. An objective that is not measurable is a subjective goal. The project charter doesn't ask for project subjectives. Let's look at a couple of the well-written objectives for our sample project. Ensure guests feel valued and enjoy the food and entertainment, resulting in all guests remaining at the party for 2 hours or more. Enhanced relationships generate a minimum of 5 prospective sales orders. The next section lists the requirements. Requirements outline what is needed to achieve the project objectives. Requirements don't discuss how the objectives will be met, but what is required for the objectives to be met. The requirements in the charter are the initial or summary requirements that will be further detailed in the planning phase. Let's look at a selection of the requirements from our sample project. The party space must accommodate 200 guests with tables and chairs for eating. The party space is protected from rain and wind, so the party space remains dry and no party supplies or guest items are blown away. Entertainment is provided, so the party guests are not sitting alone or sitting doing nothing for more than 10 minutes. Next are the schedule milestones. Schedule milestones are a list of milestones and deliverables for the project to achieve the objectives and requirements, including the required end dates for each. These milestones provide a basis from which the project scope, schedule, and budget will be built in the planning phase of the project. These milestone dates are typically based on the best estimates at the time the project charter is written and may change during the planning phase of the project. Let's look at some of the key milestones in our sample project. It starts with the project plan ending on April 1st, 2016. And the guest list being finalized by April 15th. Supplier contracts should be done by May 15, 2016, and guests confirmed by July 20th. The party day milestone is August 7th, 2016, with cleanup day being the next day, and prospective sales appointments needing to be done by August 15th, 2016. After the milestones section is the resources section. Resources are a list of required resources to execute the project, including expected budget and personnel required, as well as any equipment or materials needed. Resources should address the expected budget for the project, in addition to what budget elements need to be included or not included. Additionally, what personnel are needed to deliver the project are defined, along with skill levels required. Also, any materials, equipment, or supplies that may be needed should be included in the resources section. In our sample project, we list a budget not to exceed $10,000, which includes the cost for a tent, tables, chairs, food services, entertainment, and cleanup services. We also listed the assumptions that no liability insurance is required and no travel costs are expected. For personnel needed, we require a project manager experienced in party planning and delivery, and a family sponsor to make key party decisions, and of course, the party guests. We also need to procure suppliers for party food, services, equipment, and supplies. The next section is project risks. The project risks are the initial list of uncertainties related to the project that could impact the project's success. We capture the possible events that could occur as well as their consequence or impact to the project. This list is not an all-inclusive list, as we will discuss risk management during the planning phase. However, it is an initial list of identified risks for the project. Oftentimes, this list is developed using categories such as schedule, budget, profit or finance, technical, organization, and external. Some of the largest risks from our sample project are a budget risk, where estimates for material costs could be higher than planned, causing a budget overrun. Or a profitability risk, if there is insufficient interest from the guests in any prospective business ventures. If this happens, there's a risk the project may not achieve 5 prospective sales orders. Also, there's an external risk. If suppliers don't provide supplies, equipment, or materials in time, this can cause schedule delays and disapproval from guests. Next is the project stakeholders and sponsors section, which is a list of project stakeholders who have a stake in the success of the project, as well as the sponsors who will be providing resources to ensure project success. Consider all those that may be affected by or have input to the success of the project, as they should be listed here. Also, look at the resources defined in the resource section to ensure stakeholders are included. For each stakeholder, their name, role, and functional responsibilities should be listed to make it clear how they will interact with the project going forward. In our example project, we list Sally Swift as our project sponsor, who will resolve key issues on the project and provide support for the project manager, who is Jane Doe. Jane, the project manager, is also listed in this section as responsible to manage all elements of the project, including the project plan, schedule, budget, and scope. We also list our supplier ABC, and our customers, which are our guests. The final section of the charter is the project approvals. The approvers are typically those that hold the budget and resources for the project, as well as the customer for the project. All stakeholders should review and verbally approve the project charter. However, not all stakeholders have to have signatory approval on the project charter. The sponsor and the customer or persons funding the project should have signatory authority on the project charter. In our example, the project sponsor and project manager signed the approval section.